welcome to Chapter 5. We're going to go over some review of using our multiplication facts. The last chapter we spent a great deal of time doing strategies to learn those facts. And we have new vocabulary that will go along with this chapter. So in your Go Math book, would you please turn to page 179? And this is just a check for understanding of these skills. So this is everything that you have learned before that we're going to apply in this lesson now. We're going to start by adding tens. And we need to know and remember that these actually represent tens. So you have 3 tens in the number 30, plus another 3 tens in that number 30. So 3 tens plus 3 tens equals 6 tens, which is the same as saying 30 plus 30 equals 60. Okay. Complete number 2 in the same way, please. 40 plus 50 equals how many tens plus how many tens to equal a total amount of tens, which is the same as saying 40 plus 50. So breaking this problem apart, 40 plus 50 is 4 tens plus 5 tens. 4 plus 5 equals 9, and 9 tens, what this is saying now, is the same as 40 plus 50, which equals 90. I want you to go ahead and do 3 through 5 on your own, and then check it in the teacher's manual, and go ahead and practice these facts that we practiced in the last chapter using any one of those strategies of the distributive property of multiplication, the associative property of multiplication, or the commutative property of multiplication, those products. And again, check it in the book when we are done with this lesson. Looking at our next page for the vocabulary builder, we're looking at a couple new words in this chapter. We've already talked about arrays, and remember that those are the combinations of rows and columns that you can draw out to give you a multiplication sentence and a strategy for correcting it. The commutative property, remember, is multiplying two factors in any order. You get the same product, like 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2 for your commutative property. Remember, once these two numbers are in a community, they can move about that community in any way that they want to, and they are still the same product. The distributive property is the multiply each addend by the number and add the product. So if you have 2 times 8, that is saying the same as 2 times, breaking the 8 apart, 2 plus 6, and then taking 2 times 2 plus 2 times 6. So you get 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 times 6 is 12, 4 times 12 is 16, which is the answer to 2 times 8. Then you have the word factors on here, and factors are the numbers that are involved in a multiplication problem. So again, we'll use 2 times 3. 2 is a factor, 3 is a factor. Hundreds, you already should know what those are, knowing what your place value again. Multiples are a product of 2 counting numbers. So multiples would be like 2, 4, 6, 8. Those are all multiples of 2. Ones is your place value term again. Pattern, we're going to look at a lot this time, and you looked at some of those with tables on 5.1. Place value, again, making a reference to the ones and the hundreds. Product is your answer in a multiplication problem. So 2 times 3, remember these are both factors, equaling a product of 6. Okay. And tens, again, is your place value. So it looks like we're going to be talking a lot about place value in this unit. So if we look at our vocabulary chart that they have inserted into your page, on page 180, oh, I even gave you this as an example. It has 2 with a colon, so it wants to know 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 are all what of 2? And we talked about that earlier as factors. Okay, so 5, 10, 15, 20 are all factors of 5. If we look at 4 times 3 equals 2, it has this arrow down. It wants to know what these 2 numbers are in a multiplication problem, and we just talked about that also. Those are factors in a math problem and a multiplication. And then pointing to this one, we talked about these being factors that equal a product. Terms unique to multiplication. Understanding the vocabulary, this is the Common Core standard of being able to apply what you already know, not just being able to know it. Read the definition, write the preview word or review word that matches it. So we're going to use these words again. An ordered set of numbers or objects in which the order helps you predict what will come next. So this is going to be your key word here, predict. So which one of these words is going to give you something that you can look at that is going to help you predict what comes next? And that is going to be a pattern. Go ahead and fill that in. Number 2, a set of objects arranged in rows and columns. That's where I drew this up here when we first started talking about our vocabulary, and so we know that that is called an array. This one is a new word, so you're going to use this word in this chapter that you haven't used yet. So a number sentence that uses an equal sign to show that 2 amounts are equal. We haven't heard this before and we haven't talked about this before, so we know that this is going to be our preview word, which is an equation. Talking about algebraic thinking now, looking at that Common Core standard of algebraic thinking. Number 4, a property, so we know that our answer is going to have the word property in it, that states that multiplying a sum by a number is same as multiplying each addend by the number and then adding the products. So again, if we did 2 times 8, we know that that's the same as 2 times, breaking this one apart, 6 plus 2. If you remember me doing that just a few minutes ago, you know that that one is the distributive property. We did quite a bit of work with that in the last chapter. And the last one, the value of each digit in a number based on the location of the digit. So we're looking at a value and location. Ooh, we talked about this one a lot when we previewed what we were going to be learning within these ones. Knowing that the location of a digit, giving the location, tells us the place value. Please make sure that you have this page filled in, and we will remember to go back and use this vocabulary page. If further in the chapter, if you forget what one of these means, you can always go to the e-glossary in Think Central. If you log in and look at your tools, you have one called e-glossary that you can look up any of these words again.